so early. You guys want to get some coffee or something?
Can I get a cup of coffee? Black? Can't you see we talking? White?
Even little kids in Mexico drink coffee.
Well, I'm not a little kid in Mexico, okay?
That is the best coffee I've ever tasted.
A damn fine cup of coffee.
You want a cup of coffee?
No coffee.
Coffee drinker, huh?
Maybe we could grab some coffee?
Coffee! Coffee, 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 coffee!
How you doing, fellas? That's not decaf, is it?
Viennese cinnamon.
Good morning. Welcome to the morning show about UFOs. It's UFO Wednesday. Happy midweek. Don is here with me, and so is Martina Casa Santana, and Das Wolfen. John is here. Guten Morgen. Yeah. No monkey touching today, I guess.
Still doing good, John.
Oh, that's
still
good.
Doing good.
I was good. I was about to ask how you're doing.
Good for me that I don't give a shit. Oh man. It was a rough night. I've been sick since Sunday. Technically, I probably was sick before that, but didn't notice it till Sunday. And the coughing last night kept. Normally, you don't cough in your sleep, and I was coughing myself awake, and it was driving me insane. I took something, didn't help. So fuck whatever it is that's getting to me today. So Chris is here. Good morning. How are you doing? Stream with. Would you tell her to please respond to me and Keith? She did not respond to us about being on the show because I wanted to get her on as soon as possible. I think December 2nd is the date that I threw at her, and she's not responding. She's busy, I'm sure, but just a reminder for me, Chris, would you? Hope you're having a good day. Let's see. We got who's all here? It's Penny is here. That's Dork Knight's mom. Das Wolfen, who's actually on the show. Gap After Dark, the Gap previously known as Stargate. Wajid Leaky. That's how you say it, Chris. You're always worried you mispronounced, but it's Wajid Leaky. D Bud Martin is here. Good morning, D Bud. How are you doing? Love of my life, Anima Confusa is in the chat. Christopher Moonlight and Alex Moore, and there you are, Colonizer Jeebus. Monkey Jeebus is here. I was talking to him before the show, so I was like, where the hell is he? Destiny Captain. Anybody else? Anybody else? I miss anybody? No, I got everybody, didn't I?
Dragon Ruse.
Oh, Dragon Ruse. Good morning, Dragon Ruse. So let's start our Sunday. We've got our Wednesday. It's hump day, guys. Make no mistake, don't ever take that as being literal, because I got to tell you, man, I have gotten so many human resources reports on me for humping people on the job. Don't do it. It's not healthy. And there's a lot of unwanted pregnancies.
Too much information, Gary. Too much.
Well, it's those unwanted pregnancies that stopped me eventually. But military people, humping has a different meaning. And Don knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, move your leg, will you? Move your leg.
Move your leg. I got to tell you, I'm sure Bailey's different, but the humpiest dog I ever had was a goddamn beagle. That sucker was constantly like every time I turn around, man, he'd be on my leg. I'm like, Jesus. And that's when the joke came out. A buddy of mine says, you know how to get him to stop doing that, right? I went, no, how? He says, pick him up and suck his dick. And I'm like, what? The fuck? Oh, I've got some asshole friends. And one of those, the friend that said that has been on this show when we were kids. I'm not going to say who it was. It could have been Vic. It could have been Michael Beatty, or it could have been Jim Woodward. You'll never know. I'll never narc on him. But it is, good God. You and I were talking yesterday, and I don't think I triggered it. What triggered it for you? Because you started going down a rabbit hole yesterday, and you took me with you, and I was like, "What in?" Because I would say something, and you would go, "Well, let this thing," and then all of a sudden that would trigger a memory of this person with this thing, and I'll give you the names, but we cannot go down that rabbit hole. I don't want to see you stressed out again like that. But it started with Gary Schultz. You brought up Gary, which led to Michael Younger, and then Norio Hayakawa. And at one point, you're like, I gotta stop talking, man. I'm like having a flashback of crazy shit that happened. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't even have a flashback. And I'm like, this is too much information for me. My brain's gonna fart. And wow.
Well, there was a lot of intelligence machinations then. At one point, and it, hey, look, I've been in this field so long. I can tell you so many stories about people that would call Vicky and I at UFO Magazine. Oh, we're being stalked. Yeah, by who? Oh, the government. Black helicopters were flying around the neighborhood. That kind of crap, right? Well,
yeah.
In our case, we really had some of that shit. Not helicopters, but I had for a while a mysterious van that would park on the street right down from our house. We were living in Sunland then. It was my buddy Richie Saraday that first pointed it out to me. And I said, and we were in some heavy duty shit then. This was back in the days of when the Bob Lazar story and Area 51 first broke. I was in the middle of that story. I knew all those guys. I had traveled down to Vegas a number of times to meet with George Knapp, the television journalist reporter that broke the Lazar story. I knew George. I'd been to Lazar's house. This was just about the time somebody shot out the tires on his Corvette. Okay, after this story, bro, a lot of stuff was happening. And Rich came to me because we were working at the time trying to work on a TV project. Richie had been an internationally renowned actor. His career, he felt, was winding down at the time. So he wanted to get into producing, and UFOs was a passion of his. So that's how we originally met. And he would come out to our place in the morning from Santa Monica, and he said, "Hey, dude," he said, "did you see that van down the street?" I don't know. So I go out and look. Oh, yeah. He said, "Well, that's been there off and on for days." And I knew it was nobody's van in the neighborhood. He said, "Somebody is surveilling you." And we did have, and some of this is going to sound paranoid, but we did have some issues.
You were a cop, so
with our
you know how surveillance is done. And so,
sure.
Yeah. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, finally, I just said, fuck it. They want to surveil me? Have at it. Okay. Nothing I can do about it. And then one day it hit me. You know what? Nothing like meeting something head on. So Vicky didn't want anything to do with it. And I told Rich, you know what? I'm going to walk down the sidewalk right down the block. And I think I'll ask them if they want to come in for a cup of coffee. So that's exactly what I did. I marched out the front door. Rich is in the yard watching me. I'm walking down the street, and it's obvious I'm headed right to that van. And suddenly they fired it up, and they took off. So I said, hell, I guess they didn't want any coffee. So,
yeah.
But the shit happened at our offices and my radio show at the time. One night, one of those names I told you about, Michael Younger, okay, and that's another whole story in itself. He ended up dead on some railroad tracks here in LA. Very weird story. He had been involved in a group. At the time, it was well known. Everybody heard of MJ-12. Well, he was in a group that was identified as COM-12. And he did have some wonky connections. I mean, there was no bullshit about that. And he was coming out to the studio because I was interviewing him and Richard that night. And it was on some government documents that he had come across. And I pulled into the parking lot right by the studios, and this is in Sunland. The studio was for CRN, the cable radio network. And we had a whole bunch of people that were going to be there that night. And I got out and I started walking. The studio was down below the street level. And suddenly, I saw this activity in the parking lot. And I looked, and Richie wasn't there, but he was over. There were about 4 or 5 guys, had this car surrounded. And, oh, sorry, cell phone. So I'm looking, and here was this. It was like a, what the hell was the name of that ugly little piece of shit that was in the early 70s, a vehicle? I forget anymore what the hell.
I know one of the ugliest ones was The Thing.
No, wasn't the Thing. It was kind of like a Pinto, like a Pinto.
Oh, the Gremlin? The
That's
Pacer?
it.
Okay.
The Gremlin. And
Ugly
I
car.
looked, and I saw this.
It looked like
Gremlin,
a Honda that sneezed.
and it had antennas on the top of it. Okay.
Oh my God.
Richie went over and he looked, and there was this guy sitting in there in the driver's seat. He had a tablet. He was making some notes. He had a camera with a telescopic lens on it. Okay. And it turned out, because I think it was Michael Younger, got his license plate number, made a call to whoever the hell it was he was connected with, found out this guy was a private detective, a private detective, and with his license was expired, but he had been working allegedly for one of the aviation corporations, Lockheed or something. This was a deal. And as soon as he saw these guys surrounding me, he threw his shit down and he just sat there. And they tapped on the window. Huh, what? What are you doing? Nothing. Yeah. I'm not doing nothing. And he drove out. But they had been surveilling Younger, was the guy. Richie, had already been surveilled, but they were surveilling him. That's the kind of crap that was going on then. I mean, it sounds like bullshit, but that's what was happening.
You think you'd find a less conspicuous car than a Gremlin?
Well, this was like 93, 94, John. I don't know. Nondescript piece of shit car. There you go. Who would think a Gremlin was a threat, right? I don't know. By the way, I'm still doing good, John.
I gotta tell you, somebody came up and walked up to me, knocked on my window, asked me what I was doing. I'd respond with my typical Gary fashion. I'm shitting. What are you doing? So I wanted to get us going into first the Battle of Los Angeles, because this is something, when I heard they were going to make a movie, I thought they were going to make a historical piece, period piece. And then I found it was going to sci-fi action yarn. I was like, okay, wasn't interested. Then I saw the movie, I'm like, holy shit, that movie is great. What a good flick. It was like the movie Alien, but on Earth with real acting Marines. you know, and it was just badass. But the fact is, you know, people think it's a movie. If you Google Battle of Los Angeles or the Battle of L.A., the movie pops up, and they kind of buzz.
Well, that's what the whole movie Steven Spielberg's 1941 was all based on originally.
Yeah,
you know that, right?
Originally, yeah, and I kind of wish they had stuck with that with 1941. But the Battle of L.A. actually took place in 42. It was summer, wasn't it?
February.
February 24th. And February 25th, 1942. And the war was heating up, just starting, because it wasn't too long. It was, 2 months after Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And paranoia was high, and all of a sudden there's this object over
Your audio's kind of
going out. Is it getting long?
Screwing up on you, pal.
So
All right,
how you doing, Don?
I'm doing good. Doing good.
So the war was heating up in the Pacific, and I don't think, when did Germany declare war on us? I forget what date that was.
December 11th.
It wasn't
41.
long.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like right after. So we're preparing for war on the two fronts. We had the Pacific and we had the European front. And all of a sudden, you know, our coast was alive. We knew Germans were riding their subs off our coast. They were trying to get spies into the country. So security was always tight. This is long before CIA. So we had, did they already have it, the Office of Strategic Services? Was that already a thing?
No, they were all military
About
intelligence,
mid-war.
like Navy.
Yeah, just
Navy
military
intelligence,
right.
Army.
That's how it all got started, you know. And then eventually it became the OSS. So the Pacific was terrified all the way up to Washington that there was going to be a Japanese attack. And that's what the movie 1941 is exactly about. But they left out the UFO part, which is sad, because I think Spielberg was afraid, because he'd already done Close Encounters and he was terrified that there would be comparisons or some shit. And so wrote all that out. But don't get me wrong, I still enjoy the shit out of 1941. That's a funny movie. Dumb, but funny. Had some great actors. Robert Stack is great in that film. John Belushi, Treat Williams, Dan Aykroyd. John Candy is in it. He's one of the tankers. Just a great cast. But it doesn't have a real story. It's not cohesive. That's the big problem with it. There's no story. So, but in reality, in 1942, February of 1942, everybody's fears erupted because an object was seen over Los Angeles, and they fired on it. They had lights on it, and of course, the famous picture. See if it's on our thumbnail, and I wish there were better photos of this thing. I really do, because my problem with this photograph is I as a Photoshop expert, I can tell when photos have been doctored. And there should not be a shadow between one light beam and another light beam. And there is. There's a shadow, a defined line. That means somebody went in there and doctored the photo. Someone probably from the press. But when they turn this into a negative, that is a saucer-shaped object. And you can see it pretty clearly in the negative. You've seen that negative, right, Don?
Yeah.
It's just, this was really the beginning of, this was the beginning of the atomic age for human beings. And it seemed to be, with the buildup of war, they suddenly had an interest in us again. Because you saw very few UFO reports going back. I mean, way back. Ancient times UFO reports and paintings that depict them, you know. So you know this shit was going on. That battle that took place in Europe in the Middle Ages. Remember that shit? They saw a battle in the sky. They did a painting of it. Crazy looking painting. You've seen that, Don, right?
I have.
Yeah. So here's our modern version of it. And of course, information, disinformation screws everything up. Also, people taking wild guesses at what things are. I heard Zeppelin, dirigible, and it's like they shot at the fucking thing. If it was one of those two, it would have come down, right?
Well,
I wish
shots were seen literally hitting whatever that thing was.
Yeah,
with no apparent effect at all.
None.
Well, they were shooting flak at it though. It wasn't just
They were hitting flak around it, but there was also gunfire that was done, and so I got to tell you, man, I think that was our big moment to let us know that we were now officially in the UFO age. And it would take a few years. I mean, we heard Foo Fighters, and I absolutely believe in Foo Fighters. They tangled with enemy fighters. They tangled with our bombers. They tangled with some of our fighters. And these things were insane. And it's no different than the reports we get from airliners or fighters today. It's no different. We know it's not bullshit because the DOD and the Navy have exposed it. Maybe inadvertently, but they have. It was like, well, shit, guys, I guess we better fess up. Air Force won't say anything, no, right, Don?
No, it's it's one of those conundrums, and I've noticed that since December of 2017, when now deceased former senator of Nevada, senior senator Harry Reid, held his press conference admitting to financing the ATIP program, which was Aerial Threat Assessment Program. Right. Now, the Navy basically came clean to an extent, and the Department of Defense admitted, yeah, those videos are real, that the Navy had, etc. But the Air Force, to this day, has not opened their mouth. And they were the people on this from the beginning, okay? Mm-hmm. So that, I don't know about you guys, that tells me tons and tons about what's really going on.
Well, yeah, and I still really hope that we finally get a film with some good effects in it that show what happened there based off of, personal observations that people that saw it, soldiers that saw it, military personnel of all ranks saw it, civilians saw it. And one day, I hope before we're gone that we get a film about that because I love that story. And by the way, yes, going back to 1941, I saw what you said, Slasher Fred. By the way, if I missed anybody, I want to make sure I say Kylock is here. Good morning, Kylock. Stephanie Beatty is here. Peter Venkman Fanside and Slasher Fred. It's good to see you guys. And I liked your comments, by the way, Slasher. Let me go back to him here real quick. 1941 also had an actress who played Christy Walken in Jaws. That's right. Spielberg asked her to reprise the similar character, and they even did the music from Jaws when the submarine starts coming up and she ends up naked on the periscope of the Japanese sub. With the late great Toshiro Mifune, one of the greatest Japanese. He was, for Japan, he was John Wayne, Spencer Tracy, and Gary Cooper all rolled into one. He could play any genre. And I love that guy. There's a great story about him. I don't know if you ever heard the story, John, how he got into acting. He was forced into the Japanese. He was born a missionary in China to Japanese parents who were missionaries. And he was conscripted and forced into the Japanese, I think, Air Force. And he was the guy that would photograph up in the bombardier position as well as aim bombs. And when he got out of the military after the war, he just wanted to find a job. And he knew how to run cameras. So he went to Toho Studios to meet with all the heads. They were wanting to begin this new flourishing idea of Japanese cinema. And three of the biggest names in Japanese cinema at the time were all sitting at this table. And he wandered into the wrong door. He was going into interview for doing camera operator. He ended up going into the talent door. And there's Akira Kurosawa and two of the other guys, I forget their names offhand, and they began giving him direction to do something. And he got really angry. He's like, I'm not a monkey. I'm not a monkey. I will not do what you tell me to do. They were telling the laugh for us. And he got really fucking angry and he started to storm out. And one man followed him, and it was Akira Kurosawa, who was the John Ford of Japan. Absolutely the John Ford of Japan. Chased him out. He saw something in that rage and wanted that man to be in his movies. And he did. He made Toshiro Mifune a star. And what is he best known for? His fucking anger, man. He gets angry on camera in a way that he's got a face that you just go, I'm going to back away now. You're at rage level samurai. And he is. He was one of the great swordsmen of Japan. And he had his school is still open to this day. The Toshiro Mifune method of they mix Aikido in there. I think but that it's absolutely more based on the ancient styles of Japanese sword fighting. But anyway, he's the captain of the submarine. And he's not happy about that nude woman on his periscope.
Don't forget the Nazi on board.
That's right, Christopher Lee, man. Christopher Lee nailed that character. Oh my God. I'm going to watch the damn movie today because of this shit.
Stacked full of talent.
Man, so much. Deason was in it. Eddie Deason with his little dummy. He had a little friend dummy that looked just like him. I was like, that movie is so crazy. And yes, and just like you said, Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi, and Steven Spielberg were going to do Blues Brothers together. And Spielberg didn't direct it; he was in it. He was the clerk for the city of Chicago. The city clerk. It's like a weird moment in the film because everybody knew Spielberg at that time. It's like, hey, that's Steven Spielberg. Took me out of the movie, but I didn't care.
I don't think Jeebus is a fan of Eddie Deason.
Oh, Eddie Deason is, oh man, look, he's one of those guys you either like him or you fucking hate him. There's no in between. It's, and I'm not a fan of Eddie Deason either. But again, that was the Battle of Los Angeles. Do some reading on this, guys. I think it's a wonderful moment in our history. I say wonderful, really just an amazing, not
Keith
wonderful, but
is
amazing.
In the chat.
Keith, Keith, if you want to join us, Martin, send him a link if he's awake. I don't want to wake him up in the morning, but if he's awake, he can join us. I hate that son of a bitch, Eddie Deason. I should ask him one time. What did he do to you, man? What did he do? He
Show
shot
me
my
on the
dog.
Show me on the doll where Eddie Deason.
Yeah, show me on the doll where Eddie. And it should be the doll from 1941 that he had.
Yeah,
but
Keith,
now Keith, if you're hearing still, you have your invite in your DMs.
There you go. There you go. Now I want to read this before we start into this, and I hope that Dom doesn't go down that rabbit hole. I'm going to try to keep you from doing it, buddy. Because I know how stressful that can be when you start going through stuff. So I wrote this last night. In science, we're taught that correlation doesn't denote causality. That's absolutely part of science. But with that said, many effective investigators, doesn't matter what kind of investigator, from law enforcement.
Just your audio again, Gary.
Oh. Hope that's better. So in science, we're taught that correlation doesn't denote causality. And with that said, many effective investigators will tell you there's no such thing as coincidence. And I believe that fervently. So one of the things you learn in like law enforcement and other investigative things is trust your instincts. If you're good at what you're doing, trust those things. Some people say a gut feeling. It's instincts is what it is. It's your brain, not your stomach. It's your brain putting shit together. Don has what's referred to as one of those human lie detector things. That comes from years of practice of spotting when somebody is doing something. And it might be a subconscious thing too that occurs because we know about micro expressions. I
think there's a touch of ESP in there.
That's interesting. You've never said that to me before. And we need to go into this one day. I don't want to do it today.
It was Ingo Swan that pointed it out to me.
That's interesting. See, I'm an empath, and I sense things on people when they're coming around me. Strong emotions. I'm a human barometer. I sense change in people at many levels. Martin's seen it. I could tell when something was wrong with him one day. He said, "No, everything is good." I'm like, "No, it's not. I can tell something's up." And there was. And so, but anyway, trust your instincts when you're an investigator. And so on June 24th of 1947, Kenneth Arnold had the first big report of UFOs. It's also where the press coined the phrase flying saucer, because in the description, he was describing how smooth they were, right? With the curved surface. But the fact is they were more crescent shaped. And moving forward in the shape of the crescent.
What he said was their movement resembled activity as if you would throw a saucer across a pond or a lake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
of course,
the
that's where
press
the
immediately
press
picked up.
Yeah. Flying saucers. So this is over, of course, Mount Rainier. And it was approximately, 11 days? 11 days, right? 11 days before New Mexico. So 11 days later, on July 5th, the first crash, and I don't know much about the second crash, so I'm going to pull on your memory.
It's a little before that, Gary.
Was it the fourth?
Around the third, maybe the fourth.
So it was it was just over 1 week. We had our first reported crash, and it took like 3 days.
Not really. Okay.
Well, we have the windmill crash in the 1800s.
No. There was allegedly a very strange event that happened at Cape Girardeau, Missouri, in 42, 43.
See, but that doesn't hit the mass level because I don't even know about that.
No, it was wartime.
Yeah, it was wartime. So, but anyway, Mac Brazel finds the stuff, takes some of it to the sheriff, and by the 7th, the U.S. Army Air Corps is involved with
Jesse Marcel.
Jesse Marcel. Jesse Marcel's the one who makes the report that
and Sherman Cavett.
They made the report that it was a downed object of unknown origin. And immediately the Army Air Corps is like, no, we can't have this. So the false report of it being a downed weather balloon comes into play. But once again, going past that, within 7 weeks of that incident and 9 weeks after the Mount Rainier incident with Kenneth Arnold, something amazing happened. And on September 18th, Harry Truman's administration did two things in 1 day. 1 day. His Joint Chiefs created the United States Air Force, separating the Army Air Force from the Army to be their own branch in the military. On that same day, Harry Truman started the CIA from the old OSS.
There was one other thing, Gary.
Oh, yeah. MJ-12.
Negative.
Oh, what was it? Com-12?
Negative.
Which one?
Negative. The National Security Act was signed.
Oh, shit. I always forget about that. Yes, the National Security Act. All right there. It is so freaking weird, you know? And once again, I know in science we're taught that that correlation is not causality, but instinct says that's bullshit. Something's going on. And I've always been suspicious of that since I was a kid, that the odds of that all occurring in the same window. I mean, you got to realize July, 1 month took place, August, and then the next month, a wall went up to make sure that everything is covered and protected, and that they controlled, which is, I believe it probably was Harry Truman's concern, that society wasn't ready to be made aware of that he was worried about the chaos and panic that would be created by it. And we have been treated with that for so many freaking years that when the Department of Defense and the Navy go, yeah, this shit's real, look how we're all reacting to it. It's like, okay, I'm going to go to Red Lobster. Okay. It's like nobody reacts to it. We've been spoon-fed disinformation for so long that when we finally get a confirmation, everybody's like, so? Well, guys like you and me are terrified by this stuff because I know what the implications are, and it's terrifying. At least it is to me when I realize what could be going on. Your thoughts?
Well, I've looked at this. You got to realize that I have been drowning in this information for well over 30 years. Okay. Yeah. I have researched this. I have lectured on this. I have investigated cases. I have interviewed witnesses. In other words, this has been my life for decades. Now, when you say you're terrified by it, the implications certainly could be terrifying. Howsoever, if they had overt negative designs on us, we would have known about it long before now. Back in 47, 48, 49, if they had hostile intentions, they could have overtaken us in a heartbeat. There wouldn't have been a thing we could do.
What terrifies me is, and this is what terrifies me. I'm not afraid of that. I don't think they're going to do that. I do think there are hostiles out there. We've heard about them.
Oh, yeah.
But the fact is they pay us no mind.
It's but what I was saying, what I was getting to, there were a number of incidents that happened that set the stage for this. In July, August 52, UFOs invaded Washington, D.C. Famous. It happened not on 2, but on 3 weekends. UFOs swarmed the skies over the Capitol. January 53. The powers that be convened a scientific panel headed up by the CIA called the Robertson Panel. They met for a week. Some of the top intelligence, military, and academics in the nation at that time. A week-long conference, and it wasn't about who are they, what are they, where are they coming from, what do they want. No. That's not what they discussed. What they discussed is, how do we tamp this fire down? Okay? How do we take the public attention away from this? Their solution was to put it behind a curtain of laughter. They talked about how to bring some of the top entertainment figures of the United States onto the public arena to basically make fun of UFOs. Their reasoning was, well, in the event of a real emergency, like with the Soviet Union, maybe this was the public reason. Maybe the Soviet Union would use UFOs as some type of a deception or disinformation operation. and then they could smack us with their atomic bombs. Well, that was the beginning of it. But then as time went on, if you remember, and I know you guys do, your Hollywood history, look at all the science fiction UFO movies that came out in the 50s and the early 60s. This Island Earth, The Thing, The Day the Earth Stood Still. And I mean, you could go on and on. Well, then something else happened in the mid-60s. Star Trek happened. Suddenly, Gene Roddenberry and Star Trek, a wagon train to the stars, introduced us to a lot of ETs. Mr. Spock, Lieutenant Commander Spock, of course, Leonard Nimoy is the most famous of them. He was the good guy, a good guy alien, and there were many others. And as time went along, we got other things, Spielberg's Close Encounters, E.T., etc. Suddenly,
which I would
the
have pointed
American
out,
public,
Close Encounters was supposedly based on that film that was supposed to be released for the documentary and then got pulled last second of the military meeting with extraterrestrials. You remember that shit?
Robert
and Spielberg supposedly saw that film. Spielberg supposedly saw it. Yeah, him. And Spielberg supposedly saw that film and made his movie based on those events, even though the U.S. military distanced themselves from it. Do you take credence in that?
Rod Serling was involved in it.
Rod Serling was involved with the documentary, yeah. It's a good documentary if you've never seen it. It came out in, 74, I think? 72, between 72 and 74. And I've seen it. I think it's on YouTube now. I think you can get it on YouTube. Yeah. But so I just wanted to add that as a little season to what you're talking about, because we were being fed. There's a documentary supposedly from the late 60s talking about how the U.S. military, specifically the Air Force, and the CIA worked together with Hollywood to create these films.
And Disney.
Oh, Disney was right in the middle of it, yeah.
Disney was in the middle of this. There were some very famous incidents. Of course, now by this time, in the early 70s, Walt, his head was detached and frozen somewhere.
Frozen, right, somewhere in the basements of Disney.
But they had been involved in this. As a matter of fact, Walt Disney Company was one of the primary people that the Robertson panel recommended to help defuse the UFO thing. Remember Marvin the Martian? Oh my God, I love that.
The
I love
Earthling
that
has
guy.
stolen the X-23 space modulator. Go get him, K9.
One of my favorite characters growing up, man.
Yeah.
I love that voice.
Disney has been a purveyor of government propaganda since
World War
II.
Yeah.
World War II.
It's even referenced in the movie The Rocketeer.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's supposed to be Howard Hughes, but he's actually representing two people, Howard Hughes and Walt Disney. The Terry O'Quinn character. But no, it's absolutely...
And it's amazing if you look at their political ideology today as compared to them.
It's really odd, isn't it? You would never catch them doing anything for our military, anything. But I got to point out, that I believe that all of this is connected to our society's reaction to the DOD and the U.S. Navy going, yeah, these things are real, and we have no control over it. And this is where I want to come back to what I was trying to say. What terrifies me, it's like you own your house there, right? You own your house there in the desert, and you find out that there are these creatures that walk into your house, do whatever the fuck they want, and there's not a goddamn thing you can do about it. And you think you have that safety and security. And the idea of this is terrifying to me, that everything is false. Our sense of security is false. Even if they're not dangerous to us and could give two shits about us.
We live in the Matrix, dude.
Yeah, it's terrifying to me. And I got to tell you, man, the more real this stuff became, because I told you back in the 80s, I drive out on dirt roads out in the middle of Virginia, because I grew up in Virginia. And I'd sit there and I'd be like howling at the sky, like, come get me. I wanted a close encounter of some kind. And you tell me, be careful what you wish for. I don't wish for it anymore. When I hit my 40s, I'm like, okay, I don't need an anal probe now. I could have handled it when I was younger. Don't need that shit now. But
still doing good, John. Still doing good.
Still doing good, John.
Okay.
He's doing good.
All right.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Michael Douglas. Oh, I introduced you. It's your turn, John. You're supposed to say something.
Oh, something.
Dig. By the way, for this morning, I got two 32-ounce cups of coffee. Again, this cup is courtesy of my friend Lauren. Thank you, Lauren, for this cup. And Brad. Very good friends. And so, look, where are we going with all of this? Because we are 80 years since Roswell.
Well, for what it's worth, and I've said this a few times, not many, but a few times in the past. Over the years, originally, back in the late 80s, I was convinced. I mean, I would have died on that hill that it was strictly nuts and bolts. The phenomenon, nuts and bolts. In other words, manufactured objects from another star system that was coming here. Now, I still believe in some part that is true. Howsoever, as time went along and I became much more exposed to cases, people, situations, my thinking evolved to, one of the big arbiters of my thinking change came from Skinwalker Ranch. All right. Suddenly,
Stargates.
the idea of interdimensional became much more apparent to me. For example, I've had a lot of violence in my past. The war, when I was a cop, when I was an assistant sniper on the SWAT team. The idea that a bullet would not overtly impact something, I just wouldn't have believed. But there were cases that came my way where people, and as a matter of fact, Stan Gordon even mentioned it on the show we did with him, where people saw strange oddities like the Sasquatch creature, the Bigfoot. They would be fired upon at close range by people with firearms. No effect. Same, Skinwalker Ranch. The family that was there before the NIDS people took over, Robert Bigelow's NIDS people, that shot that giant canine. Guy shot it 5 or 6 times with a .357 Magnum using Magnum rounds. Let me tell you what, from my experience, you don't walk away from that. But apparently this creature did. Now, how would that be possible? Well, my thinking then went back to John Keel, whom I knew, I respected as a researcher, and we had a number of conversations about that. He was convinced, and although at the time we were primarily talking about MIBs, Men in Black, he was convinced that the powers that be, whomever they are, could construct things to put in our reality for whatever reason. And some of this gets pretty wonky, so stick with me. And things like firearms, guns, knives, would not necessarily
No
have any
impact.
impact on them. So does that make sense? No.
Are you saying
no.
they're interphased? No.
Possibly.
Possibly. Okay, because if they were slightly phased, they're not completely in our reality. So therefore, weapons would be useless. That's
yeah, but I still
more
feel
scary
better
shit.
with one than instead of not having one.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit! The people have joined us. Scott is here. Good morning, Scott. Andy Morrow is here. Ford is back. COD. Good morning, guys. Hope everybody's having a good day. I saw something. Well, Jiba says interdimensional beings make the government guys saying it's demonic is more credible. Absolutely, it does. Because what is demonic? What is demonic? We think biblically, and the fact is, I think the Bible's history is wonky as shit. You get guys that are just borderline cavemen talking about technology and shit like that from not of this earth. They're going to think a lot of weird shit, and I believe that about a lot of the old writings. But there was another one. Wajid, when the aliens believe we are ready as humans, they will show themselves. I don't think they give two shits. I got to be honest, Wajid. I really don't.
They do not have good intentions toward us.
I don't think they have any intentions. I don't think they give two shits about us. Live or die. I think any curiosity they have.
Which begs the question, then. It begs the question. They've been here since we have been here. Somebody has. All right, someone, some sentient intelligence. So, what the hell is their long-term plan? What is it they want? Now, here's a couple of ways to look at that question that are almost as freaky as the fact that they are here. What if we humans, Homo sapiens sapiens, were developed and placed here intentionally? You know, there were some very wide-eyed people in the past that have hypothesized about that question. And one of them, and Charles Fort, if you know who Charles Fort is, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you don't, put him in your search engine. He was the first guy back in the 19th and early 20th century to document this stuff. You heard of the Fortean Society? Well, that was based on him. Okay, that we might in fact be, you ready? A prison planet.
Australia?
Yeah.
Interplanetary Australia.
Well,
look, no, go ahead, John.
No,
sorry,
I was
go
going to say, I wonder how many, is it possible that some, like stuff like ghost sightings and Bigfoot, UFOs, not so much UFOs, but, some of this supernatural stuff, how much of it could be echoes from an alternate dimension? If you know anything about the brain membrane theory of multiple dimensions, dimensions that they're like layers, and they're floating between things they can touch. So how much is that is like an echo of another dimension?
Well, it could be, sure. There are people that believe that we are in not only an infinite cosmos, but the cosmos itself is infinite, scattered around. Like imagine, your kitchen sink and your hand washing dishes. Okay, you put your dish soap in there, and it's suddenly a gazillion bubbles, soap bubbles around, sticking to each other, but each one individually. All right, that could be our universe, but then look at all the other universes.
Yeah.
Did that come out logically?
Yeah, the implications are terrifying. And of course, with what Stan was talking, or not Stan, I just forgot his name. The East Coast guy that's investigating all these. No, what's Stan? Stan Gordon, right? Stan Goy,
Yeah.
talking about the 3 and 5-toed cryptids, the Sasquatch.
Right.
That some of them are not actual Sasquatch, are more.
Well, if you go
like,
back, if you go back all the way to the very first show or two I did here on Pop Culture Minefield, I mentioned that. Okay. Somehow in passing, we talked about Sasquatch, and I told you that there were, at least that I was aware of, 2 types. This is way back at the beginning. I said there was the 5-toed variety, which seems much more natural, and then there was a 3-toed variety that seemed to be somehow connected with UFOs. And I said that back at the beginning. Do you recall that, Gary?
Oh, yes, I do. Yes. Because I wasn't even aware of that until you brought it up. And I know that there were some connections to the 411 missing persons in the national park system.
Yes.
And this shit's creepy. What are these things? What are they doing? And as it was brought up in the chat, we know that there are members of the Pentagon, the Department of Defense, that don't want to deal with some of this stuff because they believe it to be biblically demonic.
Yes, I mentioned that too, and I even gave you the name, the Collins Elite. I got a damn fly buzzing around in here, huh? The Collins Elite.
Yep. So we get into this whole, God, there's so much here, and it would be nice, and I'm sure everybody feels the same when they're talking about this stuff. I wish we could cover everything, and it's impossible. But there's this line of sight thing that goes to this thing, and I don't think anybody will ever kill me for saying this. Because
your audio's glitching again, buddy.
Yep.
So I don't think anybody will ever kill me for doing this shit. You're never going to find me dead on a railroad track mysteriously. I will probably die of a coronary on a toilet like Elvis Presley, and squeezing one out for the country, for God and country. And
thanks for that picture. Thanks for that picture, you asshole.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Keith, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you doing this morning?
It's been rather upside down and backwards this morning. But
did you see our genetic love child, yours and mine?
I saw that video and I'm just thinking, wow. Of all the things to grow, wow.
Big fucking bodybuilder goes out there, man. He's brown body, big fucking porcelain white head on top of this brown body, and I'm like, this is what would happen if they mixed our genes, yours and mine.
I have no words, man. I have no words for that. No,
it was
look, great discussion this morning, guys. As always, I am flabbergasted by the amount of information. But then again, that's normal, and that's one of the reasons why this show is so popular.
Of course, there's another way to look at it, Keith. Maybe I'm full of shit.
You know what? No, I don't think so. Because
it's like Dennis Miller always says, this is what I think, but maybe I don't know what I'm talking about.
There's a lot of information out there, and as I've always chosen to believe, I mean, we as a species have managed to collectively lose as much information as possible over our time here on this planet.
I mean, my God, what was lost at the fire of Alexandria, the library?
Yeah, that right there was just it's beyond measure the amount of information that we've lost. And I just think
with that being said, And this is a great time to take a slight detour. Okay.
Twilight Zone theme playing.
I have been consumed the last couple of weeks with visions of the ancient apocalypse. What the hell am I talking about? Well, I'll tell you. The end of the Ice Age. Huh?
Oh, you were talking about that. Okay, I thought maybe you were talking about Megiddo.
No. The ancient apocalypse, when the entire face of planet Earth irretrievably changed, probably forever. Now, at that time, 12,000, 13,000 years ago, the Earth, well, especially in the northern latitudes, was covered by ice caps. In North America, damn near half of North America, where we live today, was covered in ice up to 2 miles in depth. All right. There were millions of giant fauna, giant animals that roamed the planet. Great woolly mammoths, Columbian mammoths, short-faced cave bears, giant diurnal wolves, saber-toothed cats, smilodons, giant bison, camels, horses. You know, contrary to public or popular belief, horses at one time were in North America before the Spanish brought them back.
Yeah.
All of those animals disappeared in an eye blink. Now, you talk to the academics, I have, and they are as full of shit as a Christmas turkey, suggest that, well, maybe human predation wiped them out. In other words,
they want
Stone
everything
Age
in a
hunters.
neat package. It's just anybody who wants anything collected in a neat package, don't fucking trust them. Never trust anybody who speaks in too much confidence. And that's my problem with anthropologists and earth scientists compared to physicists. Physicists, they always go, look, I'm not saying God exists. I'm just saying the shit happened and it didn't just happen randomly. That's physicists.
Well,
you know,
the stuff that pisses me off about anthropologists, archaeologists, Egyptologists is it's like you've got this information that they believe, but here's this other information here that they completely ignore because it doesn't fit in their little tiny worldview.
Exactly. We were just talking about
I've seen this. I've seen this happen in many different disciplines over the years. The UFO field, okay, versus the skeptics, which are not really skeptics, they're debunkers. Physicists, the Mars research people that have tried to talk about the region on Mars called Cydonia, where the face is, the so-called face, and pyramids, which seem to suggest maybe at one point there were sentients alive and well on planet Mars. And as a matter of fact, today, let me just give a real quick promo. Gary and I are doing on Dangerous Military Nerds today, Dr. John Brandenburg, where he's going to be talking once again about the fact that planet Mars was nuked. Okay. But anyway, to get back to what we were talking about, all those animals in an eye blink were gone. Something horrendous happened. Now, I just finished watching, and as a matter of fact, I've already rewatched a number of episodes on Netflix, Ancient Apocalypse.
I got to finish it. I'm Graham. In.
Yes, by Graham Hancock. And boy, if you've been reading the trades, they have gone after him. They, being the academics, the archaeologists, etc.,
established science.
Yes, with axes, knives, pitchforks. I mean, this guy is being savaged. And if you watch this series, 8 episodes with a critical eye, he's simply asking inconvenient questions. Inconvenient.
He makes it clear. I'm not a scientist. I am not any of these things. I'm just seeing these things and I'm asking questions because nobody in science seems to want to deal with them. Like, how do you have like giant reptilian footprint right next to a human one? And that water, that riverbed, you know,
they've always gone after John Hancock and guys like Michael Como and all those.
They don't have any answers, but they sure do. They do go after them.
Yeah, everybody in the alternative archaeology field or whatever you want to call it. They always go after those guys like they're just making stuff up. But there's
Hancock is simply asking this question. The bottom line, there seems to have been an ancient civilization pre-flood that was advanced and it spanned the globe. Okay? What's the deal with this? And then you get people like Michael Shermer. Do you all know who Michael Shermer is?
Name sounds familiar. I'm not sure I place him right now.
Dr. Michael Shermer, okay, whom I know. He avoids me at all costs, okay? I embarrassed him in a debate over at Occidental College, where our former president attended for a while, Barack Obama. Yes. I had a friend who was an anthropology professor over there who used to invite me in to talk to his class every spring semester, okay, to talk to them about oddities, among them UFOs, of course. And one day he came to me and he said, and I had already, I was the guy, myself and actor Dwight Schultz, on my old radio show, UFOs Tonight, that busted Michael Shermer's cherry. Okay. Did you like that, Gary? Busted his cherry.
Yeah, I like that.
Coming on our show, the first time he had ever publicly, discussed from a skeptical viewpoint things like UFOs. Now, today, you'll find Shermer's face over everything, ancient aliens, and every time they need somebody to come in and do a little debunking, they call up Mike Shermer. Now, Shermer has a magazine, Skeptic Magazine. And I will never forget, and I digress a little bit, but right after I got to know him, we brought him on the show, and he told Schultz and I, right before the show aired, he said, look, I hope you guys take it easy on me tonight, because honestly, I really don't know a lot about this subject. Okay, that was at the beginning. So we brought him on. We kind of handled him with kid gloves. But the bottom line was he was amiable. He was kind of a polite guy, not aggressive in any way, not with us anyway. And he told me then, he said, I publish this magazine, Skeptic Magazine, and we have conferences. Would you be interested in coming over and addressing my conference sometime? And I said, sure. I got no problem with that anytime you want. Never got the invite because we met a few more times, and then he saw that I wasn't a shy, retiring flower, that somebody could shit on. As a matter of fact, Larry King discovered that when he gave me his show in June of 1992. I gave you the audio clip of that, Gary, where he said at the end of the show, I hope you've enjoyed this edition of Don Ecker Live, which incidentally was the last time Larry ever had me come back. He was he was a little upset. I had demolished his skeptical guest on that show that night, Dr. Jim Oberg. But anyway,
my back to feelings is, why have you on if you're not going to do that? It's like, to get mad at you for that is just ridiculous. It's like getting mad at a dog for like licking its ass.
Well, because
not that you lick your ass, Don. That's what I'm saying.
Well, thanks, Gary. I appreciate that. Yeah, you're good, Gary. Still doing good, John. Still doing good.
Okay.
By
good.
the way, Martin, I have a nit to pick with you. When Don is doing his rant, talking about something serious, do not post that on the screen and make me giggle while he's talking.
It's a serious conversation between him and Colonel
Please
Davis.
don't do that. Because I'm sitting there going, I had to cover my face to keep me from laughing out loud. I'm like, you
It's
son
a
of a
serious,
bitch.
honest conversation between him and Jeebles.
Skinless baboon with red butt is not serious. And by the way, if you guys want,
what's a response to this?
If you guys want to read the Earth Wars, Chapter 1, the book, actually, it's just a book, standalone book, called, Earth Wars. And I wrote it. It's drawn by Richard Bonk. He needs to finish the book. If you guys want to have that finished, I will have a campaign coming up here sometime between now and January to fund Richard Bonk finishing that book. He's got half the book done, and part of the reward will be getting to read the first half of the book. And in it, there are red-ass baboons that are mutated by an alien technology, a liquid technology, nanobites.
Was that a shameless self-promotion, Gary?
Absolutely. But I am terrified by mandrills. They're the most horrifying animal on this planet. And I made that the central monster for the book, because they go to an island trying to investigate an entire World Health Organization lab and village dead. And they want to know why. And they find the source, and that source is not from Earth. And it's mutated fucking mandrills, man. Those are scary freaking animals. They already have 6-inch fangs. Now imagine them mutated. Crazy shit. And Dale Dye himself said that was one of the craziest combat scenes in the second half of the book that he's ever read, between a special forces unit and a bunch of wild, dangerously mutated monkeys. So, but anyway, we are coming to our close here. Beyond the Skinless Baboon, I want to make sure, did I say hello to everybody? Cavatino Calverman Shea is here. Good morning. My good friend Brian, 70s rock fan, is here. Of course, the lovely Magitech Mags is here. Someone for whom we all love. She's a wonderful addition to our community. And I always want to make it a point to remind her how much she is loved here, so that she never disappears on us again. We love you, Mags. We do. You're great. Tonight's show is going to have Dr. John Brandenburg on again on Dangerous Nerds. It'll be 4 o'clock Eastern time, 3 o'clock Central time, 2 o'clock Mountain, 1 o'clock Pacific. Or as my daughter once said, specific time. I'm like, what? That's like when she said she wished Dale Dye happy birthday. She goes, Semper 5. And I'm like, Semper 5? What the hell did you just say? My daughter, I love my daughter. She's so amazing. I'm going to have Thanksgiving with her tomorrow. I'm very excited about that. There will be no shows tomorrow. There will be no Fantastic Thursday. Sorry. It will return the following week, and we will wrap up season 13 of Archer, as well as season 1 of Vox Machina. And then immediately we're going to go into 1899. And I'm hoping you're going to join us on that, Don.
Yeah.
What, Martin?
Yeah.
Why are we wrapping up Vox Machina? Vox Machina has a lot of chapters.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that we'll be wrapping it up in December.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the next show.
No.
Oh, thank God.
Just going into... Jesus, stop trying to figure out what I'm talking about, you dumb...
Hey, by the way,
I asked.
I've been rewatching the entire 6 seasons of The Expanse. Did you guys ever?
I love that show. Keith and
that?
I are big fans of that show.
I've read all the books.
It did woke in a way that didn't bother me. I enjoyed it.
Big fans. And I met the guys who wrote it.
Yeah, there's actually, even though says it's written by James S.A. Corey, there are actually two guys.
Yep.
No, I think there are more than two.
Hey,
no.
You think
It's
you
just
got
two.
a means to get him on the show? Because I'd love to talk to him. Because we need to have dance movies.
I would love to know why Alex, not Amos, but Alex, got written out of the show. Somebody canceled him.
Yeah, he was attacked by the woke mob.
Yeah.
It was
Guilty or not, that's bullshit. Because we don't know until you go to court. You don't know. You know, this country has lost the ability to understand the fundamental that you are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law.
He got accused of
Is that
something,
what it
got
was?
fired, and then it got dropped.
Yeah, it all got dropped after he got fired. Oh,
Yeah.
fuck those people. You know, that's what they're after. They want to destroy anybody. And this is why I love Elon Musk for what he's done. And by the way, did anybody see that video yesterday that he posted from Twitter office in France where they had a closet full of proud to be woke t-shirts in the fucking closet?
Hashtag stay woke.
Stay woke. Oh my God. Ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I'm telling you. Ridiculous. Or as Oklahoma buddy was saying, actually, it's redonkulous.
I would love to take a dozen or so of those woke assholes into Southeast Asia for a week.
Yeah, see how woke they are when they get faced with anywhere actually. I've been to Honduras, man, and I remember how freaky that place was, and I had to give instructions to all my guys, like, okay, when you guys stop, whenever we're done marching or being transported, I said, do not lean against anything natural here. The saps on some of these trees will kill you. Even if you don't have physical contact with it, if it gets on your clothes and you touch or get exposed to that sap, it will kill you. A lot of the insects and reptiles here are deadly, just their skin. So if you're going to sit, it's called Battle Buddy. It's Battle Buddy back to back.
And if you see a frog or a toad, don't lick it.
Don't lick it.
Especially if it's bright colored.
You know, same thing goes for Australia. Everything there is basically bred to kill you.
Yeah, I loved it when my niece introduced me to her husband, who is a big supporter of Che. And she's like, he's from Honduras. Uncle Gary, weren't you in Honduras? And he looked at me and I went, yes. And she's like, or he was like, what were you there for? And I'm like, we were protecting a road crew from communists. I was there for like 2 weeks. 2 weeks down there. We were sent there to replace another group so they can have some R&R, and they came back and we went back home. And our job was just to protect a road crew from what they called Contras, but really I'm not sure if they were called Contras in Honduras or if it was the same group. But that's who we were watching. They follow the same philosophy of communism. Commies suck. Cavatino,
so does cancel.
Cancel sucks. Cancel culture sucks. I get kind of mad when people want to reverse that and go up against these woke people. I took on, I don't know if you guys saw it on my personal Twitter account. I went after an idiot last night. And he's like, he automatically assumed that I'm not gay. And I went, how do you know I'm not gay? I'm a cock. You never know. And I just fucking with this guy going, you assume a lot of things about people. You like these broad stroke comments. I'm conservative, so therefore I hate gay people. I'm pro gay marriage. I just don't want churches being forced to perform them. Civil marriage. Look, man, I am all about people being as miserable as I was when I was married. I love it. I love it when people suffer like me. I support. And let me tell you something. In the immortal words of Dennis Miller, you have not seen entertainment on television until you see the first episode of Gay Divorce Court. That's a show that still needs to happen. I'm telling you. What'd you say to me, bitch? I'm telling you. That's going to be some great entertainment right there.
That's a ratings winner.
Yeah. You know, Queer Eye for the straight guy. Fuck that. Get me some Queer Eye for the divorce court. Everybody's gay on the show. It will be amazing.
That's the thing about the Real Housewives shows. It's all about fighting at the end. So if you just basically make a gay divorce court, that's pretty much every episode.
The bailiff can be straight. That way, you have a token straight guy on the show.
Yeah, just have him have that look like he's like a milk bucket under a bull. Like, why am I here? I'm telling you, that'd be a great show, man.
We have Breach.
Monster.
We have Breach.
Oh shit! Look at that, ending the show, and somebody had to do it. Okay, buddy, here it comes. Yeah, I'm saying comes, and I'm using backdoor. So, I'm Vox Machina.
Open your back door, baby. Loosen your hinges, I'll show you my key.
Cavalryman Che, I love you, man. You're infantry. You're a grunt. You are a door kicker, in my opinion. Love you, buddy.
Hold the door. Hold the door.
Hold door. Hold door. So basically tonight at 4 o'clock Eastern, we will be live with John Brandenburg. You can watch us, download the KGRA app, or you can watch us on YouTube. I've got to figure something out, though, Don. It's really irritating me that YouTube ganked us over the music that KGRA legally has a right to use. And we're going through KGRA to broadcast on the channel. So why are we... This is the thing that pisses me off about YouTube.
That sounds like a problem for KGRA to address.
I didn't want to bug Bill, but I am going to bring it up to him what they did, and that I had to mute their music on our show through KGRA radio. So I think maybe I need to add something. That's something I'm going to find out from him. I may need to add something in the video description.
See, that's the goddamn problem with all of these social media shitheads. Okay, from the get-go. Right. There's no goddamn way you can argue your case. You go to Facebook, you get busted for something you put up that may be innocuous, but some woke little asswipe is going to see it, get offended. Bingo! You're 30 days in Facebook jail. Well, fuck that. Or YouTube. We're going to demonetize you. Well, stick it up your ass, okay? When do I get my goddamn say? Some fuck in Nigeria is putting a claim on that? Okay, where's his goddamn proof? That's my fucking music, goddammit.
Yeah, well, I told you, I played one of my songs on this channel, and I got a claim. From who? I own all rights to my music. My distributor is CD Baby. They own no rights to my music. I do. So
by
I
the way,
pissed
John,
about
I'm
that.
still doing okay. I'm still doing okay.
Just
don't
sure.
get. Yeah. Okay.
Well, as I once said to a woke bitch that was in, and when I say bitch, I don't mean that as a woman. I just mean somebody who's a bitch. And they said some shit to me about something I said, and I turned to them. I said, "Oh, I'm sorry you died." And they looked at me and they said, "I didn't die." And I said, "Oh, then what the fuck are you complaining about?" And then I walked away from them. And there you go. Because sticks and stones will break your bones. Words can't fucking do shit to you. They can make you feel bad. Oh, they can help you if you've got depression. But it's not the cause of your fucking depression. Work on that shit. Learn to deal with the world. And that's what I've always said, as bullied as I was in school, and I was, I eventually fought my bullies as I got older and got bigger. And I stood up to every single one of them. But the fact is the bullying gave me something. And it gave me...
You want to feel bad? I got a scar right here. Let me see. Well, you probably can't see it. From an SKS carbine, okay? That's when you fucking feel bad.
Yeah, that'll kill you. That'll kill you. Bullets, man. Bullets will break bones, tear flesh, do all sorts of crazy shit. But Sean Estep is here, and Cam's Crash Courses is here. I want to thank all of you for watching today. We're at the hour and a half mark. I want to thank everybody, and I'm going to go through the list. Let's see. Let me get to the beginning. I want to get a mirror and just hold it up that's got the hole in it, just like on Romper Room. I see Penny. I see. Oh, Dust Wolf, and I'm going to fuck with you, Dust Wolf.
Me.
Yeah.
Me. Gap After Dark, Wajid Leakey, D. Bud Martin, Anima Confusa, whom I'm going to be talking to after the show, Christopher Moonlight Productions, our good friend, and one of our hosts, Alex Moore, which is so much better than Alex Less, Colonizer Jeebus, previously known as Monkey Jeebus. I'm hoping that he'll eventually go back to Monkey Jeebus. I like Monkey Jeebus. Destiny Captain, Dragon Ruse, Peter Vickman fan site, Stephanie Beatty. Nice software, Stephanie. Slasher Fred, welcome. Kylock, Ford is back COD. Andy Morrow, welcome to the show. And I think he's British. Oh, he's
he's a fan. He's a fan of DMR, my radio show from KGRA.
All right, cool beans, man.
Andy.
Scott Lewis, Magitech Mags, and Scott's name's going to get put on the producer list. Magitech Mags, the 70s rock fan, our good friend Brian, Cavatino Cavalryman Che, Cam's Crash Courses, and Sean Estep. Thank you all for being here. John, thanks for showing up, buddy. By the way, what is your show on Friday?
Well, talking with Keith.
Actually, the show is going to be about DC Comics or DC Studios. And we'll be discussing everything that will be going into what their next step is, given everything that has happened at Disney and other places over the last 2 weeks.
And, of course, talking about the chaos of Disney.
Basically.
I'm going to put DC Comics, DC Cinematic. And I think that'll be enough to let people know you guys are nerds. Okay.
Oh, well, thank you. I think they would have gotten that. I think they would have gotten that, doing that morning coffee with Keith and John. So.
Christopher loved it. We were talking about him. Me. There you go. Bug Bill, Andy says. And then Jeeva says, probably after Christmas, I have no more transformation left.
I have one more transformation. One more. God damn it, PFC, get your shit together.
Get your shit together. You grab ass the... my favorite was my drill instructor in basic, Drill Sergeant Samuels. He said this thing that I just love the way he said. He'd see somebody do something stupid. He would grab his hat to throw it at him. He goes, I will boomerang your ass. I love that guy. He was so funny. Drill instructors, Marine Corps drill sergeants, DIs, they are the funniest fuckers you will ever see. But I will tell you, if you're a recruit, don't laugh. Don't let them see you laugh. They will smoke your ass. They will destroy you in front of everyone. And I learned young how to hold my laughter. And but I'm telling you, they're some of the funniest fuckers I've ever seen. Great comedy. But don't you get caught laughing. I want everybody to have a great week. Keep your eyes on the skies. And watch our show this afternoon, man. Look forward to seeing a lot of you guys on our show this afternoon at 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Central. So anything else? Anybody want to say anything? Keith?
Yeah, look at that beautiful picture of my little girl right there, Bailey. Isn't she
Bailey.
Gorgeous?
That rock-eating little bitch. She's a rock eater. Hey, Rock. That's Mick from Rocky.
My wife this morning brought out her latest collection of rocks that Bailey brings into the bedroom. Oh, yeah.
They're like a new thing that you guys are doing. It's like collecting rocks that Bailey finds.
Right
where's
here
she
they
at?
are.
You gonna go to her? Oh my God! Look at those things. I see some quartz in there. I see some sedimentary. Well, look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that.
She's a regular rock hound.
She is. She's a rock hound. No. That was really good, John. I'm impressed.
But I'm still doing good, John. Still doing good, buddy.
I have my moments.
Yeah. So, John, you get to close us out. What do you want to add to this?
Well, hey guys, thanks for watching Pop Culture Minefield. If you've enjoyed the show, please make sure to like
Go for it again.
for updates on our shows and channel. Also, please leave a comment, and we'd like to know.
You know you
what
can
you
turn
thought
your
of the
mic on and
episode,
say
as well
stuff,
as letting
John.
us know if there's something you'd like us to cover in a future episode. Don't forget that you can become a member of Pop Culture Minefield now. Make sure to visit our membership page and merch store at popcultureminefield.com.
I saw you throw up your hands like you
Twitter,
son of a bitch.
Facebook,
I saw it.
Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch.
Oh my god. The invite is out in the members area on Twitter. Take care of yourself, DJ. I hope you can join us, Anima. Go Cubs, go Cubs.
Y'all come back now. Guardians